Peace, Michelle. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Kalanji. How are you this morning?
Cool in the game. Good to have you on board this morning. Wish you were coming through to talk about something that was more joyous and more joyful. But you know, today is not that day. But I'm absolutely happy to have you on board. Um, for folks who are unfamiliar, um, this is a case right here, which is like most cases when we deal with the state. It is an act of terrorism. It's a case where the state of Missouri has put an expiration date once again on a human being, and this brother Kevin Johnson, according to the state, has less than 60 days left to live. But it is our efforts, along with the serious work, the groundwork that you've been doing out in Missouri to stop that production. For folks who are unfamiliar, please first of all introduce yourself and then tell us who Kevin Johnson is and why you're involved in this case.
Okay. Well, good morning. So my name is Michelle Smith. I am with an organization in Missouri. We fight to abolish the death penalty overall. It's Missourians for Alternatives to the Death Penalty. And so I'm located actually in St. Louis. So this is the work that we're tasked with. In addition to supporting people like Kevin, we also, work with our legislators, work with people in the community, trying to get to a point where we can actually pass a law about abolishing this horrific practice. Until then, we have some uh, um, difficult leaders like our governor. So until then, we advocate at each particular setting of an execution date. And right now, it is Kevin. He has a date of November 29th. So right now, we're 49 days out. So I, really got pretty close with Kevin and his family just because of the situation, these circumstances that occurred that led up to what's going on with him. We all know that Black communities have been harmed by the police targeting, harassment, and brutality, and no different from the community that Kevin came from. And also, like I said, I'm from St. Louis, so Ferguson is ground zero here. That's where I am. So the community he came from is called Meacham Park, which is a very small community of majority Black people that have been harassed by the police for many decades. Um, and so, specifically Kevin's situation, he was born, into a situation that many of us have: a drug addicted mother, an incarcerated father, being passed from foster cares to relatives to group homes. So he has a very sadly typical raising that I know so many people similar to Kevin. And that really contributed to the circumstances that led up to why he's on death row. So I'll talk about that a little bit. So July the 5th of 2005, of course, the day after the holiday, Kevin was at his grandmother's house. He has had a little brother. And where we're from, like our younger siblings, especially when you're several years older than your younger siblings, you're almost like a parent, especially when your mother's on drugs and your father's in jail, right? Like you take on that role. And so Kevin had a little brother who was 7 years younger than he was. And on this particular day in July of 2005, his little brother had a seizure. He was born with a heart defect. And so he had been, sick for most of his life. And Kevin took to him also because of his illness. He felt like he had to protect him. And that particular day, after the little boy had a seizure, the police were on the scene, of course. And these were the same police that had harassed, targeted, abused this community for years, right? And when they were there, the family believed that they were not really giving this child having a medical emergency, the attention, the urgency that he needed. There are reports that said it took 18 minutes to get this child to the hospital. There are situations where when the police pull up on something, they'll toss a kid or a person in the backseat of their car and take them to the hospital. But this isn't what happened with Kevin's brother. And his name was Bam Bam. It was a childhood nickname. And so, the police were stepping over the little brother's body. Kevin was next door and he could look in the window. He couldn't see his brother, but he saw the police basically stepping over him, walking around the house. He was trying to figure out what they were looking for and assumed they were looking for him. So, eventually the paramedics came and eventually they did take the little boy to the hospital. But the family just felt like the police were showing the same amount of apathy and disgust to them as they had, forever, basically. And being 19, and also Kevin was 19, being 19 years old and just seeing the police basically murder your little brother, which is how he felt, right? Of course, the police don't believe that, but in his mind at that moment, he felt like they contributed to his brother's death. So being 19 years old, having lived a life of, poverty and trauma and abuse, and then watching basically your brother die, who you were very close with, Kevin basically snapped. And that night, several hours later, he killed one of the policemen. So that is why Kevin is on death row today. And when he killed the policeman, he screamed, "You killed my brother." And again, like I said, I talked to so many people, and I don't know what I would have done if I'd have been in that situation and saw basically my brother die, who I was very, very close with, and seeing the people who I felt were responsible, especially those people in the same group who has targeted and harassed and you know, um, uh, abused my community for decades. So, I really want people to understand that feeling, that being in that position to where you witnessed that and what would you do? Of course, today Kevin regrets what he did. Right now he's 37 years old. He has had time to, figure out, his own mental health, his own trauma, and trying to deal with that. But at that particular point, he was 19. It was just too devastating, and he acted out in that particular manner. So, our horrible prosecutor, which is the same person who wouldn't prosecute the person who killed Mike Brown, right? Darren Wilson, he wouldn't prosecute him. The same prosecutor is the person who put Kevin on death row. In addition to 28 other people from our community, this prosecutor had put on death row in our state.
Right.
And
Now,
did everything he could to get a death sentence, including the all-white jury, and that whole thing. He did everything he could to get a death sentence against Kevin.
right. And I want to point out, because oftentimes you mentioned that that he was killed, right? I mean that Kevin committed that he retaliated against this officer who he felt was guilty of medical neglect when it came to his little brother, right? Oftentimes folks like, well, you do the time, you do the. It's not a question of guilt or innocence. Let's start with that. You know what I'm saying? We don't think that this terrorist genocidal state has the right to take anyone's life. That's the first thing. But I also want to point out that here it is, from reading his story, reading Kevin Johnson's story about how he came up. You're talking about coming up with a mother who was addicted to crack. He had a father who was, I believe, imprisoned at the time. They went through all types of different situations in the home, poverty. Read a report about where the children ate roaches to survive. You know what I'm saying? I think that this is, from the backstory I read, it almost seems like he didn't even have a chance, number one. But here it is. This thing happened back in 2005. We're talking about what, 15, 16, 17 years ago?
Yeah.
And he was 19 at the time, and now they've decided to execute him. What are some of the things that you all are doing in your community to counter this decision, and what are some ways that the general public can can support the situation?
Okay, thank you for asking. So we do work with Kevin's legal team, and they are, doing the court maneuvers, trying to appeal to the governor, trying to go to the Supreme Court, both of our state and the U.S. Supreme Court. And that is something, that is ongoing, and we definitely support the legal team and what they're doing. So they do that, part about court. What my job is, and my organization's job is to amplify our community, both locally and, nationally as well, behind what's going on. And so in that vein, I have, like, of course, contacted you and so many other people. We put together information so people can know about Kevin, and be educated so they can support us, which is the toolkit. It's called a toolkit. So basically a document that has all of the relevant info, and that is take action for KJ. It's all caps, bit.ly/take action for KJ. So once we try to educate people, amplify people, and really like reaching out to everybody, this is a process, but I'm really trying to do that outreach, and we're going to stand up. Normally, people don't do a lot of, I'm gonna say rah rah. I'm from the hood, so we say you know what I mean. We don't do a lot of rah rah, right?
We from the hood too. Go ahead.
Right, yeah. So and actually, just want to recognize 11 years ago, the state of Georgia murdered Troy Davis. And I remember, I was younger, but I do remember that uprising, that offense to murdering this man who was innocent, right?
Yes.
And all of the work that you did, and I definitely appreciate that. So I'm really trying to get to a point where we have that outrage. We have that outrage when these states murder, because this is what it is, a state murder. When these states are murdering our people. I know that we saw George Floyd, right? And I saw video of Mike Brown's body laying in the streets of Ferguson for 4 hours under a sheet. I saw that, right? And that was outrageous. And that, really touched a lot of people. And I get that an execution, you don't see it, it's behind doors, it's behind fences, and etc. But we need that outrage. We need people to understand they are killing our people. A lot of people that are on death rows and across the country, mentally, mental issues like intellectual disabilities, severe mental illnesses, severe trauma, just like Kevin. There are so many people on death row that have been abused and neglected as children, and the system doesn't care, right? They cycle them through foster homes. They, ignore them. But as soon as they turn 16 or 18 or 19 and do something, all of a sudden, here comes the entire system on top of them, when that same system was absent when they were children and needed that support. So that is the real crux. We don't believe in execution. So we are asking people to get behind what we're doing. We will be doing some actions. We will be, going to our state capitol locally here in St. Louis. Actually, next Friday, I have a meeting with some organizers, and we're going to, strategize exactly what we want to do. But we will be hitting the street. I've spoken with Kevin, and he's at a place where he's understanding what's going on, right? He definitely hopes this is stopped, but he understands the situation that he's in. And when I talked to him, I said, whatever they do, we ain't gonna be quiet about it. Like, I'm tired of being quiet about the murders of my people. It's ridiculous. Sure. Like, I get we all got to pay bills. We all got to get our kids to school. We all got to do a whole lot of things, right? I get that. But until we actually come together with a voice that says, you know what, this has to stop, it's going to continue. So we are going to be making our leaders uncomfortable in this next month before this execution date. We are going to amplify Kevin and to really get in the streets to let everybody know that this is not okay, and we don't approve the government killing in our name. And it is in your name. If you pay taxes somewhere and you are in a state where they execute people, they are killing people in your name because your tax dollars pay for that.
Yeah, but beyond, even beyond what you're saying in regards to tax dollars, with all due respect, F that. And I'm saying that because of the fact that, we're sitting here in real time, and I'm talking to the viewers. We have the opportunity at this particular moment to put a halt to someone being murdered. These pieces of shit, I'm gonna just say that. These pieces of shit are telling you this is a form of terrorism. They're telling you that, look, this man will expire on this particular date, and you can't do anything about it. But we can do something about it. Yeah. So if you can't do nothing but start a petition, if you can't do anything but do a teach-in in your area, we're getting behind this particular case, our organization, the FTP movement, and I'm calling for Black Power Media to get behind this case, which we will. And for all of you who out there who are organizers in whatever particular community that you're in, if you're not an organizer, if you're just a citizen, right now they're talking about executing this man. They're talking about taking this man out. And we can sit here and say, oh, this is a good show. Or we can look back at the clip. I remember they was on there. That's messed up. That's a damn shame. Don't sit by idly because of the fact that by default, if you don't make some type of effort, then ultimately you're saying you're against this man. Because had it been your child, your brother, or whoever, you'd want everyone to get behind. I applaud you, Michelle, because of the fact that he's not a relative of yours. You don't have any skin in this game. You could have been like, you know what, man, shit, damn, I hope they don't kill him. What's coming on TV tonight? You know what I'm saying? What y'all heard what Kanye said? The same way we walking around talking about the dumb shit that Kanye's talking, we need to be talking about Kevin Johnson. Kevin Johnson's name should ring bells all across the planet right now. All across the planet.
Funny you should mention that, Kalonji. I do get frustrated with my community. I do get frustrated with my people because we pay way too much attention to asinine shit, right? We really do. Yeah. And I mean, I don't listen to Kanye. I don't care what he's doing, but we just give so much, not just, okay, hey, Kanye crazy and keep it moving. Think pieces and dissertations and people writing whole damn articles and books around something that we can ignore him. Right? We can literally ignore these people, but the things that we should pay attention to, like what's going on in Haiti, there are so many things going on right now today that we need to focus on that we don't, and we're giving too much attention to nothingness that really is not going to make any difference, right? I just really appeal to people to, give something else some attention. A story like Kevin. Kevin has a daughter. And actually, I asked her to come on this morning. She actually has a 1-month-old. Kevin's grandson was born September the 9th. And she's 19 years old. She's about to lose her father, right? And sadly, this little girl, her name is Corey, she lost her mother when she was 4 from violence. So this is the only parent she has. And so, she's very close with him. So it is such a situation where there should be no one, not speaking out. Now, we do have also a petition, it's change.org/clemency for KJ. But we do want people to go to the petition, go to, the toolkit, read about it and share, talk to your family. I talk to so many people, church groups, etc. We're really trying to get people activated to support, this situation because it means something. His life means something. Everyone's life means something. And our state does not have any place to kill anybody because of the things that this country has done. They ain't got a right to kill anybody. So that's my overall point. But yeah, I definitely appreciate you and BPM, and we really, really need everyone. Even if you can do something in your city, some people are coming to St. Louis right in the next month or so. But if you can, in your own community, if you have an organization or you have a church or whatever institution you're part of, if you want to do a rally, right? If you want to make up some signs and go outside and call on the media and let them know, we need to amplify Kevin and this story now because they are, planning to be the atrocious people they are. And I'm trying not to, call them too many names, but it's horrible. It is horrible the way, if people saw the execution, it is honestly one of the most gruesome, disgusting things. The stories that I read there have been officers and people that have been in executions and quit right after because it was so horrible. Right. These people work in prisons, but it can be pretty bad. So we definitely need our community to come out nationwide, everybody. I don't care what org you're with, what institution you're with. We need people to come out and stand strong with us, to save Kevin.
Right. And for now, go to this website, MADPMO. It's like madpmo.org, because you can find a link to the petition, but you can also find the toolkit and more information on who Kevin Johnson is. Again, she mentioned that he's a father of a 19-year-old. He went in prison at age 19. So I take it he didn't even get a chance to see his daughter, or at least get to know her outside of the walls. And he has a grandchild who is a month old. You know what I mean? So we want him to be able to grow old with his grandchild and not be executed in 49 days. I want to real quick, because we have to go, but for folks to get an understanding, because I think that oftentimes we don't experience the human side of the individual. Who is Kevin Johnson today? How has this quote unquote incarceration, this ordeal, how has he spent this time?
Kevin is honestly an amazing person, and I'm not just saying that there are other people who have, really spoken for who he is today. People assume prisons are horrible, and they are, right? But the people inside of those walls, they create a community. When someone says they're healed, or they're working on themselves in prison, it's not because of the institution, it's because of the people around them. So Kevin has become a mentor to a lot of the young men coming in prison, because like I said, he was 19. So he is a mentor. He teaches young men like their GED courses. He is actually a really amazing person. And the date that they gave him an execution date, so many guys start calling us. Like they're really, really upset that this is going on, because Kevin is so close to so many people on the inside. They value him. He has taken on that task of working on himself. He's gotten with other men about how to be a better father from the inside, and he has bettered himself so much and grown. Like I said, he was 19 years old, so he's grown, and he's healed a lot, because he dedicated himself to the work of healing. He's an author. Kevin has written 2 books, and he's really an amazing. He's very quiet as well. When you talk to him, he's not a very talkative person, and he's not really loud. He's just a very intelligent, very, very supportive person to his family and everyone around him.
And this execution date is set for the 29th, you said?
November 29th, correct. Okay. And our social is part of my name here is MADP. So people can go follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and please take part in what we're doing.
No doubt. We appreciate you coming on, Michelle. And as I mentioned earlier, we are standing behind this case, and it is we're going to do everything in our power to stop this execution. So to our listeners, yes, no doubt, to our listeners and to our viewers, friends, family, comrades, foes, whatever, let's get behind this situation, and let's put a stop to this these government or state sanctioned murders. Definitely appreciate you, Michelle. Be safe out there, and we'll see you soon.